Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing some historic Brawl, and I had originally planned on playing around with a new commander, but the deck's not quite finished, and I don't want to make a video on a half-finished deck, so I decided instead to tweak an old list with some brand new cards and take it for a spin. Today we're going to be playing around with Niv Mizzet Parun, one of the better control decks in the format. 3 blue, 3 red for a 5/5 that cannot be countered. It has flying, and whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet Parun deals 1 damage to any target, and whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. So the one thing that makes this card very unique, has its own potential win con, is through Curiosity, a 1-mana enchantment. You enchant Niv Mizzet, and whenever the enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So whenever Niv Mizzet deals damage to an opponent, you draw a card. And whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet deals 1 damage to any target. So you have an infinite draw, infinite damage combo there. As long as your opponent's life total is less than the size of your deck, you win the game having Niv Mizzet be enchanted. It also means as well that once the Curiosity hits the Niv Mizzet, you win on your draw step because that triggers Niv Mizzet, and you win if your opponent plays an instant or sorcery, or if you play one as well. So you basically ban instant or sorceries and demand a creature or other permanent-based answer to Niv Mizzet. So it can be quite difficult to kill Niv Mizzet once the combo is in place. We're not going to be digging for this combo because Niv Mizzet is just broken in itself. Just drawing a million cards when Niv Mizzet's out is usually enough to win the game. It's a removal check kind of commander. If you don't remove it, bad things are going to happen to your opponent's board and to your chances of winning the game. So let's talk about some of the new cards that we've added to this deck, shall we? We got a few, because we've got access to some anthologies, we got access to Baldur's Gate, and I think another Alchemy release as well added to this list. One of the cool cards that I found out today existed, and actually the reason why I wanted to tweak the Niv Mizzet list over anything else, is Gale's Redirection. 5-mana instant, you exile a spell, then roll a d20 and add that spell's mana value to the result. If you get 1 to 14, you may cast the exile card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any colour to cast that spell. Or, if you hit 15 plus, which hopefully is going to be the case quite a lot of the time, you may cast that exiled card without paying its mana cost for as long as it remains exiled. So if your opponent goes for a big old spell, like an Ulamog, for example, you're almost certainly going to get Gale's Redirection to not only counter the Ulamog, but also give you a free cast of it down the line. This card seems really cool. Hopefully we can pull it off today. That would be really nice. We also have access to Uthgard Fury, an enchantment for 3 mana. Enters the battlefield and deals 4 damage to any target, and then has a passive that says damage isn't removed from creatures your opponents control during their cleanup steps, which means Niv Mizzet's little 1 damage pings can add up instead of having to deal with a creature as and when. So I think that's kind of like a really cool addition to the list that helps out a little bit. We also got Seek New Knowledge, seeks 2 non-land cards, and then puts a card from your hand on the bottom of your library. So it's a draw 2, discard 1, basically, but instant speed, and allows us to get 2 non-land cards guaranteed. So if we're late game and we're flooding a little bit, we can put the land back and know that we've got 2 non-lands, so I think that's quite nice. Something to note that Seek isn't draw, so those 2 cards that you do get will not trigger Niv Mizzet, but the actual casting of the spell still triggers Niv Mizzet nonetheless. We also got access to Witness Protection, which came from New Capenna. I have not played it since New Capenna came out. I think this card is really powerful. It's a 1-mana, basically, it's almost like a blue Sword to Plowshare. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green-white citizen creature with base power and toughness 1/1 called Legitimate Business Person. So it's going to completely shut down your opponent's commander, put it into 1/1 range, which means Niv Mizzet can just ping it for 1. And it's just going to be an answer anything for our opponent's deck. If it has, like, Indestructible, suddenly it no longer has Indestructible, and it's open to our removal spells like Strangle, for example. What else did we get in this deck? I ended up adding Arcane Bombardment instead of Big Chandra. I think this is going to be quite a fun card. Since we got a lot of damage-based spells, it means that whenever we cast like counter spells, we're going to be able to exile and then cast anything that we want. It means that if we use removal, we can use removal in response to our opponent casting a spell and then potentially counter that spell. Arcane Bombardment's got so many uses in this deck that I think that once you land this card, it's going to be as powerful as Niv Mizzet if it sticks around. Mostly because our cards either do... the cards that it's going to exile do one of two things. They either deal damage or they counter. Or they bounce, I guess, as well. So either way, they're going to interact with your board in a profitable way. I don't think we're really going to hit something bad with Arcane Bombardment very often, and if we do, we just don't have to cast it. So really nice there as well. We also got Gate to the Sea Tower. We're going to be adding that in over the Thriving Isle, I think I put it in, or the Thriving Bluff, whatever the red version is. Allows you to seek a non-land card for 4 mana. It is a tap land, and it's a 1 color tap land, so I'm not going to be adding both the gates in, because there is a red equivalent to it, because I think that will probably be not great, but blue is the most predominant color in our deck, or it's the one that we really want early enough anyway, to ensure that we have our counter spells open. We want to make sure that we got Archmage's Charm on 3 and counter spell on 2. As much as possible. We do have some double reds and some triple reds in the 3-drop slot, but they are typically not as important until you get to like 4 mana and 5 mana for that to be the case. So yeah, that's going to be the deck tech anyway, guys. It's a nice and quick control deck. It's fairly advanced as well. You're going to see me making a fair few misplays in today's video. It's not an easy deck to pilot, and I think me building the deck and still making mistakes with it regularly, I would say regularly enough, we'll say, should be a hint enough that you really got to think about your plays with this deck. You can't just talk and talk and talk and then decide you're going to do something, because commentary can often get in the way of the better line of play. But you know what? It is what it is. We're here to content create, and content create is what we are going to do. So if you do enjoy the content creation, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications when they go live. And without further ado, let's get to it. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we're in on the play, and this hand appears to be functional. We can get Geist Channeler to do Discover the Formula. Multi impact for our opponent's commander. We've got some negates to interact with their tempo nonsense. I'm happy with this. Let's see, who do we want to go with first? I'm probably not going to be playing negate on 2. Maybe I'll hold negate actually, play Geist Channeler on 3. This is probably going to have to be a land, though. I want to make sure that Stormcarved Coast is untapped on 3, I think. Temple for our opponent. So our opponent is playing Raffine, Scheming Seer, an Esper 1/4 commander. Royal's pretty reasonable. Let's get the Geist Channeler out and cost reduce to Discover the Formula, making it 4 mana. Fantastic. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So draw X, discard X, equal to the number of attacking creatures when Raffine is out. So they like to play a lot of little creatures, and then just basically play a mono blue tempo style game. I'm gonna just go Stormcarved Coast here and then attack. And I'm thinking I probably Valakut's Awakening on end step to try and guarantee the 4th land drop. I guess it depends if our opponent plays Raffine here. Does that change anything? I don't think it changes too much, but I am going to still Valakut's Awakening the negate and the royal, and then just impact the Rafine. Got our land drop, which we were looking for, which is very nice. Probably not going to Field of Ruin our opponent into anything reasonable here. Got a Narset, which is lovely as well. In fact, Narset's kind of really not that nice for our opponent, is it? Because they don't get to draw, but they have to discard. I don't think it's a May, right? So Narset's just kind of like mega shutting them down. I don't know whether or not to use it. I think I can afford to use it since I know I can kill Rafine. Get a disallow, okay. And pass the turn. Because they're not going to be able to connive 2 in order to get Rafine to be 3 power. And if anything, yeah, they're just going to have to use some removal on it there. So that's forcing the forcing it a little bit. They've got a Zatalpa in their deck. I officially know nothing about my opponent's list. It looks nothing like a normal hand. Alright, so I could do Discover the Formula into a Molten Impact, but I still have to pay for the Ward 1. At this point, with it being a 2-5, I'm not that bothered about that. I think I'm just gonna... I should have attacked for 1 there. I'm just going to go for the Discover the Formula or Disallow if our opponent forces us into it. Yeah, I'm actually kind of regretting the line of play I took because I shouldn't have really let it have 5 toughness when I could have avoided it. And I've also bottomed a bounce spell as well, which would have been nice. There's a Nezahal in there as well. They must be playing like Esper Reanimator. So, probably going to see a reanimation spell here, right? Oh, they're going to go Umezawa. That I can Molten Impact, I suppose. Alright, let's see if we can discover. We do. They have no counters in hand. Storm's Wrath. Okay, I might be able to sweep the board now. I know they don't have counters, so... I get to go Molten Impact, Rafine. I'm realizing once again that I'm doing this in the wrong order. Because I could do excess damage. But no biggie. Board's still looking pretty good in my favor now. Yeah, apologies for some of the misplays. That's really bad for me. Okay. It's not the easiest deck to pilot if it's not immediately obvious. I'm just going to brainstorm here because I really need the answer to what our opponent is doing, and curiosity might be my answer, honestly. Let's put these 2 back. Because I could get Niv Mizzet down, and then if I resolve a curiosity, I win the game. Or I could do like Seagate Restoration, get 1,000,000 cards, make my land drop, then make my land drop next turn, and I've got Niv Mizzet plus Disallow. That seems pretty good as well. I think that's what I'm going to go for. Ah! That's pretty good. Witness of Protection. There we go. That'll do. I mean, they're going to get a Nezahal, but I've just made this into a legitimate business person. I do love the fact that it changes the name of the card. That is very fun. But yeah, obviously, Unburial Rites here gets Nezahal. Nezahal's extremely difficult to deal with. Oh, they're going to give it haste as well, so I'm taking 8. I mean, what happens if I play Niv Mizzet and Curiosity? Hang on. Storm's Wrath, Molten Impact. Mizzet's Mastery Overloaded is going to draw my opponent a lot of cards. So that's not really where I want to be. I unfortunately don't have double blue for Disallow. I mean, what do they do if I play Niv Mizzet Curiosity, though? Other than kill it in response, which is something they'll need to have. So maybe I just force them to have it. They've got something. They get to draw with Nezahal. Do they have the answer to Niv Mizzet? If they don't have it or have drawn it, they need now a non-instant or sorcery way of killing Niv Mizzet. Or just killing me. If they cast an instant or sorcery, they lose the game, in theory. So, what are you going for? I mean, they're eyeing up the graveyard, but there's no creature that's really going to get that back, anything back for them, right? So you get to go Rafine. Can only be a 9/9. I don't think they can make additional points of damage there, so now I can take care of the legitimate business person. I don't think they're going to be running You Are Already Dead, so I think it's a free block here. Down to 3, and I win on my draw step. I win right now. Unless they can stifle this. Cannot stifle it. Alright. 1 damage, draw a card. 1 damage, draw a card. 1 damage, draw a card. Whew. Yeah, I know we made a lot of misplays there. That game could have been a lot more in my favor than it ended up being. Like, I could have played around it so that Nezahal or Zetalpa never actually entered the battlefield. But we still managed to get there. And I think forcing the answer right there was probably our best decision we could have made, because I don't know how we beat our opponent if we go like Mizzet's Mastery for our entire graveyard. Like, we can get rid of 1 creature, but for every single instant or sorcery we cast there, Nezahal draws our opponent a card, so for all the advantage we're trying to gain off Mizzet's Mastery, we're also just losing it to giving our opponent some advantage. So, yeah, that could have been a cleaner game, for sure, but we won. So, every other line of play is invalid. Moving on. Oh, good lord, is this going to be a fun matchup. We are on the play, though, so our odds of winning probably just rose by 10%, and the hand looks pretty reasonable, so we're going to keep it. Yeah, we're up against Niv Mizzet Parun. If you don't know what Niv Mizzet Parun does, then you skipped the deck tech. So go back and watch the deck tech. Yeah, turn 2 Arcane Signet's going to be really good. It's going to allow us to get straight into Key to the Archive. And that should mean that we get an early Niv Mizzet. And I think the earliest Niv Mizzet is the best Niv Mizzet. Especially because their best answer to it is Bounce Magic. And if I can just afford to play Niv Mizzet with all of the mana I have in play, then there's no problem at all. Okay, we got the Arcane Signet. Better than Mox Amber. Could hold open counter spells, or I could go straight for the Key to the Archive. That is entirely up to what our opponent wants to do here. They've got Ledger Shredder. It's a card I considered, but not too big on it, to be honest. Probably not going to need Chaos Warp. But Time Warp's a very good pickup. So we've got Niv Mizzet. Our opponent is at least 3 turns away from it. 2 turns away from it. So let's see what our opponent can do. I mean, this is asking a lot from our opponent to beat this. So it's down. Do you have bounce magic? Wait, what does that do? Exile artifact or creature, make a 4/4? Oh, that's a good one. Didn't know about that card. Yeah, that's a good answer. I need an untapped land. Or to resolve this time warp, basically, so that the Snarl can be untapped. Deliberate, okay. Kind of a bad card. Is what it is, though, right? I think the more you play your decks, the more you realize where the weaker cards are, and I guess it's entirely possible that our opponent doesn't have a full collection like me, because I'm a big ol' whale. So there's definitely something there to be said. It's got a Brazen Borrower, so I draw another card. Strangle, okay. Back to my hand. Definitely swinging for 4. So our opponent has Reliquary Tower in their deck, which is a huge fundamental mistake of their list. Sorry, I'm just like absolutely trashing our opponent. It usually means, in our opponent's defense, when I make fun of their deck, that I will lose to it extremely badly. This Reliquary Tower is extremely bad because not only does our opponent not have 7 cards in their hand going up to 8, they don't really need 8 cards. If they did, they should run Seagate Restoration, which makes you have unlimited hand size anyway. But it severely dampers your potential to get Niv Mizzet down as early as possible, which is something you want to do. The Mock Samba's not too bad, though. That's like an additional land drop. That could be like Niv Mizzet getting ramped into and then play your Curiosity. I don't mind Mock Samba as such. Although it's going to spend the majority of the game not actually making an impact. Our opponent, I think, realizes that me being on the play was pretty good. I think there is definitely a play-draw difference here, especially considering I just had the better ramp. I think if you are looking at the mirror, you want to make sure that you can get down your Niv Mizzet as early as possible, and anything after that is just kind of whatever, basically. Because every single answer to Niv Mizzet is going to draw you a card from both sides. So yeah, our opponent's just in a really, really bad spot where I just keep playing my Niv Mizzet over and over again, and every time they answer it, they draw me a card, which could give me a land, which helps pay for the command attack, so yeah, the game is just over. But our opponent can do Niv Mizzet into Curiosity, and if they do that, I will just lose on the spot. That is definitely a thing, but it never happened, so we move on to the next game. Alrighty then, we're in, and we're on another mirror match. This hand cannot possibly be kept. This hand is kind of trash as well. It has no ramp. And this one has an Arcane Signet and a way to kill their ramp, so I'm going to keep this one. Let's go down the Storm's Wrath, and I guess we'll just play the Stormcarved Coast here and into Hall of the Storm Giant's Arcane Signet. So we're up against Niv Mizzet Parun again. Let's see if this is any different. Again, being on the play gives me about a 10% chance of winning, in addition to the power of my open hand, which I'd say is fairly strong, because I chose to mulligan until I found one. Alright, our opponent has a Shock, or Shock equivalent card, a 1-mana instant. So if they play the Signet, I'm absolutely going to command it. No doubt in my mind. Ooh, Smoldering Egg. Tome of the Infinite is absurdly good. So we're going to take that. See if our opponent has landed to Artifact Destruction. Maybe they got an Abrade. Either way, this is going to undo the card disadvantage quite quickly. Unless our opponent has the answer for it, which they do. Alright, let's see what we can get. I want basically like Ponder. Light of Hope's probably not that great. In fact, that's up there with the worst possible options. But that's okay. Don't always have to do some great gains there. Never thought about what Chaos Warp hits for me. I could like make a treasure and Chaos Warp my own treasure into like a Searchful's Canter. Or I guess it's Searchful's Canter, Geist Channeler. Could be an Arcane Bombardment, that'd be pretty sweet, right? Alright, let's do a draw 2, discard 2, and a treasure. Since I actually drew this Light of Hope, it's just a free discard because it's probably never going to be that useful outside of Searchful's Canter. Our opponent will want to counter this because if they don't, I'm essentially guaranteed a Niv Mizzet here. If they don't have artifact removal, that is. So it's certainly a consideration. Sark and Scorn slowly ticking up to kill Niv Mizzet as well. Okay, our opponent thinks this is going to color screw me maybe, but it would be bad deck building of me to not have a lot of mountains. So I guess maybe this helps them get towards their Niv Mizzet, but they're not that close to it anyway. I already have my triple blue. Alright, so we're getting rid of Light of Hope. We're getting rid of... I'm just going to get rid of Chaos Warp, I think. And now I have Niv Mizzet mana. Yeah, I think I'm fantastic. Got a mountain there as well, so I get to keep my treasure. I was quite happy to keep my Valakut's Awakening there instead of replaying it, because it could be my next land drop to pay for command attacks if it comes to it. But our opponent scoops it up because I get to Niv Mizzet first. So you're seeing a theme here. On to the next game. Alrighty then, we're in and we're on the play with a keepable hand. Love being on the play. I spend so much time being on the draw that it's really nice and fresh to finally get out there and have the advantage for a change. We're up against Giada, Font of Hope with the alternative art. I like this art. 2 mana, 2/2 with Flying and Vigilance. Each other angel enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. And then you can also tap it for white to spend mana to cast angel creatures. It's a pretty powerful commander, for sure, and I can kill it in a multitude of different ways, but I'm going to go with my Searchful's Canter first, so that I can improve my draws a little bit, because I already have the answer to the Giada, which is a must-kill threat. Pact of Negation, I'm just going to trash that for search value. And yeah, let's abrade it. I think Sark and Scorn killing like a Baneslayer Angel or something far bigger is going to be a better use of my mana there. Got Gale's Redirection. I'm very excited about this card. I only found out this card existed today. Gate to the Sea Tower is a done deal. That gives me Absorb Energy and Sark and Scorn. So if our opponent plays land Giada, we'll see where we want to be on that. I think I probably want to kill it over counter it. Mostly because our opponent could play an instant that cheapens my spells. Who knows? Either way, Giada's dead. I can keep taking this 2 for a while. Got 3 cards in the yard. I'm definitely going to take that for the double red. So our opponent can play nothing, and I'll gate to the sea tower. They could play something really powerful, and I'll redirect it, or I'll just absorb it. I'm just gonna absorb it. I don't want that. I think I can get far better. Take 2 again. Opponent's also given us a target for Field of Ruin, which has value. Ooh. This could be really risky, putting this in the bin, but I like to be risky. Alright, Graven Law is very nice. Can't Field of Ruin and Gale's Redirection. So this is kind of like the point where I could get blown out by something annoying if I want to go for this Graven Law, but I'm forced into a redirection then. Who knows? Faceless Agent. You can have that. I'm going to Graven Law and ensure that I get a red source, I think. Which would be more than good enough for me. Apologies for the lack of sound, by the way. It is not your television. Alright, so we get to scry 2 and then draw 3. Mizzet's Mastery. I mean, I like Mizzet's Mastery because we got an Anger of the Gods in there. I'm going to take that. Got a Wash Away, which is quite nice. Sarkhan Fireblood's quite nice. If I bin this, I basically get an island anyway because of Search for Riscant of Flipping. And I draw an island. So, let's see. I need 3 red sources in order to get some value there. Sarkhan cannot possibly survive the board as it stands. So I think we just pass. And see where we go from there. I might just Field of Ruin. So we got 3, 6, 7, 8, which is enough to Mizzet's Mastery. And get all of these. So I get to kill the Mind Stone, I get to kill basically any creature, and I get to do a draw 3. Which seems huge. Linvala. Let's wash that away. I'm not in a rush to play Mizzet's Mastery, but it is an option. Because I think with Gate to the Sea Tower to activate here, I think I'd like to do that. Or maybe Field of Ruin. Might be quite nice. I'm just playing with my food, let's be perfectly honest. Alright, get rid of their Gate to the Sea Tower. Or Gate to the Citadel. Give me my red source. Yoink. So that's probably either a Doomscar or a Starheim Unleashed. I'm going to lean to Starheim, or maybe it's both. Alright. Chaos Warp. So if I just went with Mizzet's Mastery here, like I probably shouldn't have washed away in order to do that. I think I like my board state following that quite a fair bit. Assuming they got a Doomscar, there's no real point in playing Niv Mizzet here if I could just do better. So I'm going to draw some cards, I'm going to deal 3 to everything, I'm going to kill the Mind Stone. I'm I guess I'll just cast this because I can. And leave the rest. So they do remain in exile when you don't cast them. But casting them puts you in exile anyway. This is a nice draw 3. I don't really know what our opponent's planning to do at this stage. I mean, I guess they're going for Starheim Unleashed for a large amount, right? Which my Anger of the Gods wasn't going to do anything with. Yeah, so they got an X3. It's 12 damage. It's not an unreasonable amount. Counter spell. So how do I want to best deal with this situation? I think a Niv Mizzet with counter spell opens just fine. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably the time. I mean, if they want to Doomscar, then they're doing me a favor by getting rid of those tokens anyway, and I'll leave the Valakut's Awakening as kind of a panic button to try and find Storm's Wrath. Ooh, they got Swords to Plowshares. Wait, what's this? Perpetually loses all abilities. Perpetually loses all abilities. Alright, that can't be allowed to happen. No, no, no. It can go back to my command zone and then I can remove the Perpetual. Alright, there's Storm's Wrath. We wanted to look for that in case Niv Mizzet went wrong. Discard a card. Let's just put a land into the bin. Alright, they got 2 cards. Potentially a Doomscar that'll draw me another card. 4 cards left. If they attack through, it probably means that they've got a Doomscar and they're going to hit me for 8. I Ganjo. That's out of the way. Oh, Shepherd of the Cosmos. What the hell do you do? Return a permanent card with mana value 2. So that's Mind Stone. Yeah. 2 mana left. Let's see what I can do. Do I want to try and kill my opponent, or do I want to sweep this board a bit? I can do both, sort of, right? Yeah, I can kind of just do both. So let's do, like, hit you. Play Brittle Blast on you, I guess. It's not really going to matter. Draw some cards. Hit you. So that goes to exile. Then I'll bolt this one. Hitting the non-bolted one. Boom, boom, boom. Let's then just Valakut's Awakening. Absolutely ruin our opponent's day. Hit that. I really want to play Gale's Redirection, but it's probably not that good. But I'll get rid of this. Keep the Storm's Wrath. Actually, I don't really need the Storm's Wrath. I'm about to sweep the board, basically. Let's keep these cards, though. These cards are cool. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. Don't have to worry about Iganjo anymore, because that's out of the picture. And then we've got Disdainful Stroke for the bigger spells covered. We got Seek New Knowledge, which is kind of cool. I think I already played my land, so there's that. Yeah, I mean, this game's just well and truly over, and it's a fantastic example of a good matchup for this deck. And that's going to do it for today's video anyway, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We'll be back with some more Historic Brawl in the future, as well as some Explorer content, potentially some Standard stuff. I don't know. I'm undecided on Standard at the moment. But either way, hit that bell icon to get notifications when those videos do go live. And without further ado, going to end it off here. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.